Welcome to the official tournament policy revision documents. This is actually pretty interesting, so let's go through this. Since tournament policy documents require ongoing updates and amendments to keep pace with organized play, we are pleased to present you with 2.1 of the official KDE US Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament policy documents. We have made several changes in this latest version. You will find clarification on existing policies, restructuring of previous policies, so it is easier to understand. Alright, blah, blah, blah. You will need to know all of this information to properly prepare for tournament play, but don't worry, we'll basically be preparing you for that throughout the course of this article. So, Section 1, Preparing to Play. This section discusses the roles of various attendees at an event, including what is required and or expected. So, alright, so changes to this section. So what changed? We have rewritten the example of questions that can and cannot be answered, using the same scenario, looking at different kinds of questions being asked about the same set of card interactions. Helps clarify the difference between what a judge can answer and what a judge cannot answer. So what does this mean? While judges do need to provide correct information, they should not provide strategic advice. Questions should be asked carefully and answered carefully to ensure this does not happen. And I've heard examples of this in the past, and I do agree with this. This is actually a really big push. So the updated examples should make it easier for duelists to understand how to ask a judge a question they can answer, and easier for judges to understand the correct way to impact information without coaching. This is actually really big. So we've had it in the past where you need to be careful how you ask your questions, because those questions can influence the decision making that you be asking. I can't think of anything like crazy examples off the top of my head. It's like, if my opponent has bottomless trap hole, does it remove my monster from play? I guess that'd be a good example, but you kind of see what I'm saying here. Like, the way that you are asking a question will sometimes impact gameplay. So I do like that there's a little bit more clarification here on that impact. All right, so good job on you, Konami. I'm glad to see that we're pushing more of a nod on this, because this has always been a little bit weird of a section for players, and I feel bad for judges some days with some of these. So scorekeeping. We have clarified that scorekeeping must use a duelist's full name to register them for a tournament. They cannot use nicknames or shortened names. We've also required this, but it wasn't spelled out clearly enough. So what does this mean? When the scorekeeper registers you in a sanctioned tournament, they must use your full name. Don't make the job difficult for requesting a nickname or abbreviation. Makes sense, all right? So I can't use M40 to register. I have to use, Robbie Cole. All right, very easy stuff. Subsection 1, media. What has changed? We have further clarified and expanded the requirements for media at a sanctioned event. What does this mean? They are specific requirements for media clearance at a tournament. Members of media must ensure they meet them and make sure they read through this carefully if you are planning to attend a event as a member of the media. All right, I'm glad to see more implementation of this. Subsection 2, duelist responsibilities. All right, this section covers expectations and requirements for a duelist attending an event. All right, so what has changed? This section again references the need for your full legal name when registering for an event as it appears on your ID. All right, so you guys know when you go to events, like, if you don't have an ID, you can't get your prizing until either you submit your ID later or that. So what does this mean? If your name changes and is not reflected on your ID, you will need to speak to the tournament organizer prior to registering. Nothing too crazy here. Subsection E, what has changed? This is an entirely new section providing official policy for in-tournament use for Konami's smartphone app, Neuron. Offline functions can be used during a duel are listed and explained. So none of the online functions in Neuron can be used during a duel at a sanctioned event. So what does this mean? Neuron is quite useful and duelists are encouraged to make use of it, but make sure that you understand which functions are allowed during a duel and which are not. You should also take note that the requirements such as life point tracking when using the life point application on Neuron. So still keep your notes. All right. Paper is always going to be the grand old time here. Understand policy. We've updated the list of tournament policy documents to include amendments such as the official tournament policy speed duel amendments. What does this mean? We currently make amendments. They are not complete documents in themselves, blah, blah, blah. Nothing too crazy there. So, changes that are specific to a particular format, speed duel, you will still need to reference in the main documents. Okay. Unacceptable behavior. What has changed? We have updated this section for wearing mask and face coverings. What does this mean? This change was implemented to accommodate health requirements in different areas. We have an amendment now for mask wearing, actually. This is really important, actually. This means that we could actually see the return of events. All right. Proper attire, subsection K. This is a new section detailing acceptable standards of clothing for sanctioned events. Duelists need to be properly dressed to participate in sanctioned events. I can agree to that. I've seen some really bummy stuff at events. We'll peep through the actual docs here in a second. Alright, tournament play. Deck registration. Neuron has been added as a way to register your deck list. Oh, thank God I can take a picture of my deck and submit it now. You can use Neuron to register your deck for a sanctioned event. However, there are some very specific requirements in order to do this. If you want to register your deck using Neuron, be certain you read the information on the section and follow it. Oh, thank you. Subsection G, sleeves. This change many have been asking for. Double sleeving is now allowed. After a quadrillion years, it's here. Duelists may use one additional clear sleeve when sleeving their decks. These are some specific requirements for doing this. If so, read the section carefully before you start resleeving everything. Oh, finally. All right. Tournament materials, subsection H, nothing has changed. We've clarified some points. What does this mean? Paper and pencil must be used for keeping a written track of scores for life points during a match. This has also been a requirement and remains a requirement when using Neuron. When using counters, you cannot use one item as a dice to represent more than one counter. That's actually interesting. So now, you cannot use one item such as a die to represent more than one counter. That's actually interesting. Okay. Note-taking. What has changed? Note-taking has been amended to include tracking effects and actions which are necessary to maintain a legal game state. This does not mean that you can take notes on absolutely everything, and slow pay penalties can be assessed. So, what does this mean? Expanding note-taking to cover information that maintains a legal game state should help keep duelists progressing smoothly. Remember, you must write down your notes. You cannot use dice, counters, tokens as reminders. Okay. We have a subsection for loops now. Brother, the loops. All right, what does this mean? A clear explanation on what to do with a loop helps duelists avoid problems when building a deck and helps judges deal with loops as they arise. It's actually interesting. Okay, so we got a huge amendment to that. Side deck, nothing has changed. We've clarified the time limit for siding. Duelists misunderstood the time limit for siding to mean they have 3 minutes to side, which we have clarified that they must complete siding before 3 minutes is up. It is a subtle difference, but a significant one. You cannot take 3 minutes to side, but express the purpose of just taking 3 minutes to side. That actually makes sense. They don't want you to be a jerk about it. Card legality. This section covers legality. It's about whether or not you can use a card. Cards with updated text or erratas. All right. We've recognized the information added Neuron as a source for updated card text. Cards with sometimes get erratas. Older versions of cards must get their effects rewritten. If the card in your deck does not have the most recent card text, you'll have to provide a written copy of most of recent card text or use the camera function on Neuron. Yeah, that's easy. All right, so we have added to Neuron as a source of card translations. Duelists can use the camera function on Neuron to provide card translations. Holy crap, that is big. Cards with translation errors. This is a new section clarifying that translation errors, if any, do not change how a card will work. Duelists should use the English language text on the card database as a basis for card stats or effects if there's a difference on how the card is worded in different languages. Okay. This is very big, actually. All right, so these are the short TLDRs here. I'm just going to jump on over here to the policy docs out of full curiosity here. I don't think a lot of crazy stuff has really changed over time here, but this is definitely interesting stuff. All right, so we're going to pull this up, and I'm very curious to see what actual, I guess the wording on the changes are for this. Thank you, Control V, for existing and being a huge godsend here. All right, so we have Neuron here, which is on page 17 for those of you that were kind of curious about this. So Neuron. Neuron is a smartphone app. All right, so during a match, we can officially use these actions. So we can use life point calculation, just fine. Dice rolls and coin flips. Hey, they're officially deeming this allowed for coin flips. And the camera to search for card translations. I'm really actually happy that we've done this. All right. So this subsection is absolutely fine. Now, I am very curious about the proper attire, actually, because this was kind of interesting to me. That we've now actually developed the proper attire here. What do they deem acceptable for this? Besides, you get proper attire. You're required to dress appropriately for an event, which may include children and families. Shirts, shoes, pants, or skirts must be worn. Clothing and other accessories may not contain offensive pictures or wording. All right, so this we've officially. Oh, your clothing should be clean. All right, so we're officially cleaning up. No pun intended there. Some of the back end stuff. Outside of this, I wanted to see this sleeve subsection up here too, because what is the official wording on this? Because they made this sound like this was some crazy change here. Subsection G, page 31 on this, for those of you that are looking this up on your own time. All right, subsection 31, sleeves. You must choose to use plastic card sleeves. Oh, you may choose. Okay. All sleeves in the main deck and side deck must be identical in terms of color, wear, and design. You may choose to put your extra deck in sleeves that are different from your main side deck. All other sleeves included in this must also still apply to the extra deck. All right. All cards must be placed in sleeves of the same direction and manner. All right. Very easy. You may have only one card in each sleeve. Yeah. We know this. Sleeves with holographic fronts are not allowed. Sleeves and designs of artwork on the front or obscure card text or illustrations are not allowed. All right, you may choose to use a second sleeve, double sleeving on each card, providing you abide with these. So one of the additional sleeves must be clear. The clear sleeve may have a brand watermark Card sleeve may have a brand watermark or artwork so long as it does not interfere with the readability of the card. Additional card sleeve may not have a holographic pattern on the front of the sleeve. The additional clear sleeve must be placed on the card opposite of the regular sleeve, so the card is sealed inside the two sleeves. All right, that's actually interesting. You may only have one card in each pair of sleeves. Sleeves with excessive wear, blah, 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 factory dents, identifying characteristics will be considered marked. If you have questions, legality of your sleeves, you're unsure. Okay, so there's nothing too crazy about this to include here. Honestly, I mean, I'm just happy that we actually got this. All right, I think a lot of people are very excited for this. Same thing, nothing's changed in the card counters category. Field layout is the same. Note taking. All right, so I don't think there's any too major clarification on this. Tracking a mandatory effect reminders. You must keep written track of both players' life points. Tracking turns and counters. Written records of only acceptable form of note taking. Yeah, I'm glad that they did clean this up a little bit though. But this is. A lot of people might not think that this is some big stuff, but this is really big. Also, for you little channels out there, I did read the... Well, actually, hold on. Prohibited items. Oh, I lost it. All right, well, remember, prohibited items are, in fact, a bad thing. All right? So if you were to just search media here... All right, so we're going to go down to page 13 here. All right, what do we got here? Media. Users, okay, so they've created this fan content area. I'm just going to add this as a sub-note here. Users must sign a form to agree to the fan content area. Users must sign up for a session in the area. That's very true. Individual sessions may be limited due to time constraints or space. Table space backdrops are limited to proper drops depending on the venue. Attendees may not create their own content in any other area of the event. This is just follow the rules. This is all very basic stuff. Media passes must be approved or fulfilled by Konami. So this is when I attend and create written, photographic, or video content. I believe that this is outside of the fan area. Just standard stuff. Media is responsible to know or adhere to local laws. Must conform to all rules. This is very easy stuff. Content must be sent to Konami for formal approval and review. Easy stuff before going live. Content may not be live streamed since Konami retains the right to approve content. All right. It's very easy. On-site recording, they talk about limiting the amount of people here. Equipment must be used in a manner that does not interfere with traffic flow or other stuff. Media must also keep their equipment on their person. Equipment may not be left unattended or in the hallways with heavy foot traffic. So this is all basic stuff. So outside of this, a lot of changes here. Nothing too crazy. The double sleeving is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Konami. So guys, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And well, guys, I'm out. Peace. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out VanCall40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by MCall40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mcallgames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.